Motivation is not created on its own. Sitting there and waiting for motivation to show up isn't the way to get anything done, because unless you have some real accountability or deadlines, there's a high chance that motivation will never show itself. Motivation only comes from first taking action. It is this action taking that requires a small amount of willpower. But once you have taken the first small step, it is the results and the momentum that creates the motivation you need to consistently work on your goals. In this video, I will explain 3 ways in which you can generate motivation for yourself, which will eventually turn into habits that take you towards what you want to achieve. The action-taking loop has a domino effect, where the first small action leads to your first round of small results and a sense of satisfaction that comes with those results. From this, you will develop some momentum that will increase your motivation and cause you to take further steps to achieving your goals. In turn, this loop continues until you're consistently taking daily action. After some time of this, you'll look back and wonder how you have come so far when before you had started, you lacked any motivation to do anything. Once you have found your groove and you are seeing consistent results from your consistent action taking, those daily actions will start to develop into habits in your subconscious mind. Similar to brushing your teeth or cleaning, you don't even have to think about it. You just automatically do it. If you take your daily actions towards your goals, before long you will automatically sit down and do your work without having to try to force yourself. This also may apply to other goals in life, such as exercise and diet for health, or personal development practices such as meditation. Trying to start any large project is daunting enough. With the abundance of instant gratification and stimulation available to distract you from that project, it's easy to procrastinate so your brain gets its instant dopamine hit instead of having to do something more challenging. By looking at the goal as a whole, it can be easy to be put off. It's important to break down the process of achieving your goal into small chunks. This will help you get started, and you'll realise that by breaking it down, it's far less intimidating. It's important to write down what you want to get done the following day. This will make it easier when it comes time to work, because you don't have to waste mental energy or get overwhelmed trying to think of what to do. Instead, you will be focused and have clarity on what to do, which means your dopamine-addicted brain will be less prone to distractions. You can also introduce the 15-minute rule into your routine. If you are still finding it hard to find the motivation to do your work, even after writing down your day's agenda the previous day, then try setting a timer for 15 minutes. All you have to do is work on your goal for 15 minutes. After that, you can do whatever you want. It's often the getting started that is the hardest. So by lowering the barriers to entry, you trick yourself to get started, which will often lead to you getting into a flow state and end up working for a longer period of time, or even completing the task. Even the process of setting your 15-minute timer will eventually condition your subconscious to know that it's time to work on your goals. So with less willpower than you needed before the power of habit and subconscious conditioning took over, you're actually productive without really trying to be. After some time of doing this, you can increase your timer to an hour and a half, or even 2-hour work blocks. It's really important to focus on the right things when you want more motivation and good habits in your life. If you find it hard to sit down and crack on with your work, thinking about the challenge and effort that is required isn't going to motivate you to get started. Instead, try focusing on the results you will likely get from taking the action. Whether that is the satisfaction of completing the task itself, the step closer to a bigger picture goal, helping somebody else, or it may even just be financial reward. Focus on the rewards of completing your task rather than the costs involved. If a project you are trying to complete is very delayed gratification in nature and will not offer any real rewards for some time, then you may want to offer yourself a reward for completing that day's work, or for completing the week. You can then focus on this, knowing you have that reward for completing your work, but also the sense of satisfaction and fulfillment for doing the more challenging thing rather than procrastinating. It's easy to hit a plateau when working on a project, or just get bored with the process, especially when the results stagnate. Your brain craves novelty because novelty releases the pleasure neurotransmitter dopamine. So if we can try to trick our brains into getting what it wants, it's going to be easier to ignore the distractions that offer that similar novelty and dopamine spike, especially if we have the results we want to achieve in mind. To keep the novelty in our goals, we should be reviewing them every month or every quarter. Now, I'm not suggesting we change them before they're completed, because this will lead to shiny thing syndrome and we'll go from one idea to the next without ever making any progress or finishing anything. Instead, just look at your goal, remind yourself of the why behind those goals. Do you still want to complete it? If you think you've gone off the idea, is that because the process is proving to be too challenging or too time consuming? Or have your circumstances actually changed? Assuming your goals still ring true with what you want out of life, just the process of thinking about this may reignite the motivational spark you need. If not, then just tweaking the process or realigning your work schedule or even changing your working location can all reintroduce some novelty into your stagnant routine that may help you bring back that motivation and longer term habits. So if you're feeling unmotivated, just remember it's taking the first small action that will commence the action taking loop. This means that when you take the first action and reap your first small rewards, you will want to take further action towards your goals. Results reap more results when there is some momentum to your consistent action. This first small step may require some willpower, but once you have the action taking loop in progress, working towards your goals will become a habit. In order to get that motivation started, it's best to break down your goals and plan your following day with baby steps. These actions are easier to take when you focus on the results, instead of the effort and challenge involved before getting the results. Focus on the rewards to trick your brain into doing the more challenging thing now. Finally, ensure you review your goals regularly to keep them fresh, and again trick your brain into getting some novelty from your worthwhile goals, so your instinctual brain gets the dopamine it craves. If you found this video valuable, consider liking the video and subscribing to Subconscious Theory for more content.